and you swallowed me whole. I got lost inside your love. You so deeply touched my soul. I've learned my role as a parent is to love and let you be. I want to be just like you and stop trying to make you be more like me. You're the one who knows the way. Your soul is free and wild. But Jesus said to find the way, we must be like a child. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Namaste, everybody. How are you doing? Thanks for coming today. It's cold out there. So we're going to sing a song together now called Your Holiness, and this is what I believe about you. So here we go. Your holiness blesses the world. Your holiness blesses the world. The love in you is blessing everyone around. The place on which you stand is holy ground. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. The light in you extends beyond the farthest star. I salute the holy child of God that you are. Sing with us. Your holiness blesses the world. Your holiness blesses the world. The love in you is blessing everyone around. The place on which you stand is holy ground. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. The light in you extends beyond the farthest star. I salute the holy child of God that you are. Your holiness blesses the world.
Now, you're going to have to be really loud because, you know, there's not so many people here this morning. I don't know why. So, here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good job. And I hope the people online were yelling too. That'll be really good. As a matter of fact, what I'd like to ask you to do, because obviously it's pretty cold out there and very understandable for people who didn't come, but I'm going to assume they're all watching online. Yeah, so let's turn around and wave hello to them. Thank you. Now, I love those lyrics, because I think that's a big responsibility that's very hard for most of us to step up to. Our holiness blesses the world. You know, we can sing the lyrics, but do we really mean that? And I think that's part of our spiritual journey here, is to understand that and to accept it and say, wow, really, I mean, is that even possible? Could my holiness really bless the world? And here's what I want to tell you today. Absolutely. That the world would be short one piece of the puzzle without your holiness being here and blessing others. So I asked Geraldine if she'd come up and light the candle. It was pretty deep down in there, the wick, so I think Tammy trimmed it down a little bit so she could light it. So as Geraldine lights the candle, let the flame be a reminder that, yes, our holiness does bless the world. And that throughout the service today, thank you, Geraldine. Throughout the service today, the words we hear, the music that we hear, the smiles that we see from other people, let that be this cool reminder that our holiness does bless the world. Now, one of the ways that we bless the world is through our commitment to prayer. So we have the prayer vessel right here. There's a couple more in the hallway just outside the doors. And I invite you to put a prayer request in for yourself, for somebody else, for a situation in the world. And then what happens is we take those and we pray over it for a week here, and then we send them back to Unity Village where they're prayed over for a month. So lots of commitment, lots of dedication on that prayer. And then the second way that we try and demonstrate our commitment to prayer is through our prayer chaplains. So could I have our chaplain stand for today? Oh, okay. So it looks like we have two back there, Blossom and Dave. And so one will be in my office, which is just right outside the doors afterwards, and the other person will be in our meditation room down the hallway. So thank you. Let's take a moment in an opening prayer. Would you join me? First of all, let's just breathe. Breathing in. And let's choose to be here. Even with all the things going on in our lives, even with the cold going on outside, let's be here for the next hour or so. Exactly. So, Spirit of God, always we start with thank you. Thank you for every gift that you've brought to our doorway. Thank you for every challenge that we've been confronted with, that we had to solve and move past. Thank you for our deepening spirituality that just melts us. We are so blessed, God. We're so blessed. And so we say thank you. And so it is, God. So it is. Namaste.
Okay, so we're going to sing together now. And this is a song that I'm not really that familiar with. And it's kind of low down in my register, so I need your help. And you guys got to sing really loud, okay? So here we go. It's called Right Where I Belong.
Stand up.
Sure. Look at this glorious morning. Why ask for anything more? I'd fall trust in the mystery. Now that my heart is opened, there's no place I'd rather be. This is where joy lives. This is where love is. This is a place that I am strong. This is where eyes meet, where kindred hearts beat. I am right where I belong. This is where joy lives. This is where love is. This is the space that I am strong. This is where eyes meet, where kindred hearts beat. I am right where I belong. Ooh, I am right where I belong. Ooh, I am right where I belong. Oh, nice job.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm Tracy, and I'm the celebration assistant for today. We love that you are here on this beautiful Sunday. Thank you so much for braving the colds to add to the warmth of our Unity community. We want to welcome you to Unity Center of Spiritual Growth, where all people who wish to worship here are welcome. We strive to live love and uplift lives. We are an inclusive and affirming church. We bless people of all races, sexual orientations, colors, political beliefs, or anything else that they or you may have felt judged for in the past. We simply welcome everyone who wants to pursue their spiritual path. I have the honor of introducing our wonderful musicians for today. We have the one and only Julie Croteau, Mark Nelson, and Rita Hubert is on the piano today, and Jim Turner on the bass. Thank you, everyone. And in the back, we have our tech team. Tammy Savage is doing the video streaming, Jim Sullenberger on sound, and Brian Wright on PowerPoint. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who makes this Sunday service happen. We do appreciate all of you because it does take a lot of volunteers to have everything go as smoothly as it always does. So thank you for contributing. If we have anybody here for the first time today, we would love to thank you for being here. We're so glad that you're here to join us and hope you have a great time. So we have a welcome packet. If you're a first timer, raise your hand and we'll get you that welcome packet. Nope, nobody braved the colds for a new place today. Anyway, we want to also welcome those of you who are streaming for the first time. If you want to let us know that you are here streaming for the first time, you can click on the Connect With Us tab on the website and submit your contact information there. You can also submit prayer requests or a request for information by clicking on that Connect With Us link on the website. It's on the Synopsis tab in the website streaming window. So the announcements were rolling beforehand, but in case you missed those, I want to call a couple things special to your attention. So first, the trustees and ministry leaders are hosting an appreciation dinner on Friday, February 2nd, for the many people who have served here at Unity during the past year. If you have served in any capacity at the Unity Center of Spiritual Growth, you are an invited guest and welcome to attend this free event. On Sunday, January 28th, after the service, Reverend Dennis Ashley will lead a 1-hour new member class. This class is open to everyone, but if you want to become a member, you do need to attend this class, so that's a good opportunity to get plugged in. We are still collecting warm hats, gloves, socks, and other essentials to support our local shelters. I imagine they need those more than ever. So if you can help with this community outreach effort, please bring your donated items with you next Sunday and put them in the collection box in the hallway. It's right near the front door. And finally, the Unity book sale is still on, as you notice all the wonderful books as you walk in. The focus for January and February is health and healing. And we are also seeking donations specifically of books with large text. So if you have any books to bring, bring them along and get them to Ginny Taft. We can help you with that if you just want to drop them off up front. And yeah, books are only $1, so grab something new to read. All right, so, oh, what day is it today? I should have thought of this earlier. We're still in January, okay. Yep. So now, moving on to the most important part, maybe, arguably. Okay, we're gonna meet and greet one another. So go ahead and stand up, say hello to your neighbor, meet somebody new, and I will ring that gong when it's time to get back to your seat. All right, everybody, it is time for our inspirational reading. Every Sunday, we have somebody from the congregation read us a blessing before the meditation, and today we have Sina Mulvaney doing that for us. Thank you.
Hello, how's everyone doing? This is my first time ever reading in front of a crowd, so if I stutter... Okay. All right, so we start in the very beginning as a part of God, as a part of the wholeness of all that is. Our truest home is nestled in the love and comfort of our Spirit of God. But in the process of living a human life, we separate ourselves from that unconditional love. We slide away from that perfect acceptance, but that Spirit of God sees us exactly as we are. And God whispers to us, you know what? It doesn't matter what you've done or how lonely you are or how you might feel. You are loved. You are filled with the light of God. Savor it, drink it up, and love it. It's time to come back home again and feel the mystery of God within you. And so it is. Namaste.
We did have an additional announcement, and not your fault we didn't put it on your list there. But we wanted you to know that Trish has had some health challenges, so she resigned from the board. Very understandable. And so I begged Audrey to become a new board member until the middle of February when we have our annual meeting. So Audrey, would you stand? Yeah. I'm just laughing because I really appreciate it. I don't know you all that well, but you're always here, and you just strike me as very intelligent, so I think you're going to be great for that. Well, she does, yeah. Yeah. And then at our annual meeting, which is right after church on February 18th, then we will elect new board members. And so I've been going around asking people if they would like to run, and so far I've been striking out. So I will be hitting you up too. Go ahead.
Whoa, there's a step there, Dennis.
Feel your presence in me in the silence. I see you looking out from every face. You fill me with your glory. I feel the warmth of your embrace. I gratefully surrender to your grace. I feel your presence in me in the silence. I see you looking out from every face. You fill me with your glory. I feel the warmth of your embrace. I gratefully surrender to your grace. I feel your presence in me in the silence. I see you looking out from every face. You fill me with your glory. I feel the warmth of your embrace. I gratefully surrender to your grace. I feel your presence in me in the silence. I see you looking out from every face. You fill me with your glory. I feel the warmth of your embrace. I gratefully surrender to your grace.
So let's take a few minutes now in meditation. I invite you to close your eyes. Put down anything that you might be holding, just so you can give yourself permission to move fully into the holy instant. So let's just breathe. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, and as we breathe in, we feel the Spirit of God moving within us. We breathe in, and deep inside of us, something is stirred. It's the very presence of the Spirit of God deep within us. And our breath catalyzes that Spirit. Our breath helps it move so that we can feel it and experience it and understand it. We breathe in, and there is the Spirit of God that moves within us. We breathe it in, and yet at the same time it is waiting for us. Waiting for us to understand we have always been loved. We have always been whole. We are so sacred deep within us. We are so pure deep within us that we touch the light of God. We touch the flame of the Spirit of God that draws us in, that makes us bigger, makes us better, makes us more awake to the truth of who and what we are. So we'll breathe in again in the silence. In the silence, we'll feel that presence of God. We will feel who and what our very nature is. Love. In the silence. God, thank you. You've moved me to grasp my very nature, my very sacred nature, my holy being. And sometimes it seems beyond belief, and yet there it is, the wholeness of God, the wholeness of us. And so we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, and so it is. Namaste.
I feel your presence in me in the silence. I see you looking out from every face. You fill me with your glory. I feel the warmth of your embrace. I gratefully surrender to your grace. I feel your presence in me in the silence. I see you looking out from every face. You fill me with your glory. I feel the warmth of your embrace. I gratefully surrender to your grace.
I thought that was really cool. Thank you. And are you Mark A. Wilson? I just wanted to make sure. Wasn't that beautiful? I know where. Yeah, there we go. Well, his name was listed before as Mark Wilson, and this one was Mark A. Wilson. So I thought, well, maybe it's two different people. In 1965, there were two Buddhist monks, world-famous Buddhist monks, that were meeting together for the first time. One was from Korea, the other was from Tibet. And they were from two different forms of Buddhism, two different denominations. And so they were going to get together to debate and to see who came closer to embracing the Buddha's original meaning. So there were two different forms of Buddhism, two different Buddhist monks. One was about 75 years old, and he was known throughout the world because of his simplicity and his holiness. And the other one was younger. He was about 50. And he was known as a very aggressive teacher. And what he would do is he would ask his students what on the surface seemed like simple questions, but then he would really nail them, and he was aggressive, a very aggressive teacher. So two different styles, one full of kindness and one very aggressive in terms of his teaching, but both really holy, both really spiritual. And so it had been decided that the younger one, the aggressive teacher, would speak first. So they both came out on stage, and it was the younger one who was very aggressive. It was his turn to speak. And he reached inside his robes, and he pulled out an orange. And he said to the older monk, "What is this?" Now, this was a trap. It didn't matter what he answered. The younger, aggressive monk was going to be ready for whatever he answered. And nothing came from the older Buddhist monk. He just sat there in silence. And then this younger monk got more aggressive. "What is this?" He was holding this orange up going, "What is this?" And finally, the older monk turned to his interpreter and said, "What's the matter? Don't they have oranges where he comes from?" Now, I love that little story, because where does the truth lie? Where does our spirituality lie? I think in simplicity. I think the toughest issues, the toughest questions in the world, I think they're solved when we come back home again. And that's, there's a part of us that says, well, that's just overly simple. And yet, haven't some brilliant people tried everything else in the world to solve huge problems? And I think at times it just makes the most sense to come back home again. And so what I would say is I think there's three ways to come back home again. And I think one way is to come back home again to our family of origin. And by the way, I realize the family of origin is not always a good experience for people. You know, some people have good experiences and some people don't. I think the second way that we come back home again is to the family and the friends that we've created along the way. And same thing. For some people, that's a really good experience, and for some people, it's not so good. And then I think the third way, maybe the most important way that we come back home again, is we come back home again to the Spirit of God. And I think within some faiths, that's a holy, wonderful experience. And within some faiths, that's an experience of coming back home again to God that's filled with dread and filled with guilt. So we're going to look at those three ways. And I think that, let's start with the first one, coming back home again to the family of origin, where we were born, where we grew up. A family of origin, as I said, for some of us that was not a good experience. For some of us, it was a really good experience. And so to come back home again means there are points in our lives where what we are supposed to do to aid our spiritual journey is to come back home again. Is to come back home again to that family of origin and just try to understand, what was that all about? What lessons was I supposed to learn? Why there? Why was I born in Iowa and not in Bangladesh? Why was I born to loving parents and really a loving family rather than a family where there's a lot of anger and resentment? Oh, and of course, it could be just the other way around. And I think the answer is, at some point, what we're supposed to do is grasp love on purpose. And I think that phrase, I think that ought to come with hyphens in the middle, love on purpose. Because that's an act that so many of us don't understand. That what we're supposed to do is encounter our family of origin with love on purpose, even when they may not have been the best representatives of that. But if they were, I mean, my wife comes from a really loving family. I got to know her mom and her dad, who have both passed away now. I mean, just incredible love and incredible joy, too. Her brothers and sisters, just so much togetherness. I mean, isn't that something? To have that kind of loving family experience. And she doesn't let it go. She understands how blessed she was to have that kind of family experience. But if it had been the opposite, if it had been a bad experience, I think there's times when where we go back, either physically or mentally, and say, okay, maybe it's time to try to understand love on purpose and how it should have been. What lessons can I have learned that would have changed me? I'm going to ask everybody right now, just to close your eyes for just a few seconds. And I want to ask you a question with your eyes closed. What's the family experience that you had? Okay, you can go ahead and open them up now. I think when it's an obviously good experience, I think it makes sense to honor that. Just to say thank you. And I don't think we do that often enough. Whether that's calling up parents if they're still alive, or aunts and uncles, or whether that's calling up brothers and sisters. If it's been a while since you've done that, I really invite you to do that. And by the way, even if it was a tough experience that you didn't much care for, I would invite you to do the same thing. Call up brothers or sisters, call up family members, and just talk. And I'll bet everybody here has had the following experience sometime when the families gotten together and the brothers and sisters are talking about what family life was like growing up. And at some point, one of the siblings says, "Did we grow up in the same family?" Because it's kind of like, isn't it fascinating? Sometimes one person has a really good memory, a really good experience, and another person talking about almost the same situation. I mean, it's never going to be identical, of course, but almost the same situation, and they remember it in fear, and they remember it as not being such a good experience. And how useful to honor both of those experiences, because they're filled with spirituality. They're filled with a greater understanding of who and what we are. And so what we do is we give gratitude, regardless of the kind of situation we discovered ourselves in. We give gratitude. And I think the reason why is the gifts we have received are always filled with prosperity and abundance. But prosperity and abundance isn't always translated as money. I think when we've had a good experience, and that's mostly what I'm talking about right now, when we've had the good stuff, it is filled with prosperity and abundance, but sometimes that prosperity and abundance takes the form of loving relationships. Sometimes prosperity and abundance takes the form of kind of a hard work ethic. Sometimes that form of a love and abundance takes the form of something that we just can't describe, but it ends up connecting to us in the way that we connect with other people throughout our lives. And I think that's why we give gratitude. I think that's why we say thank you. Of course, sometimes what we have to do is come back home again to the really tough experiences. And it's kind of like, well, I understand I had a tough experience, but it's not like I really want to dwell there. Excellent. Yeah. If we had some challenging experiences growing up with our family of origin, no, we don't want to get mired down there. That doesn't do anybody any good. But it's okay to experience it, to try and understand it, and ask ourselves, what kind of lessons could we have learned from that? I did not have a good relationship with my dad. Mostly he was gone. And one of the things that he would do as I became an adult and we did some different things together, one of the things that he would do is, if we were talking to friends, or he would say, he would talk about, well, when Dennis was growing up, this is what happened, and this is how I did things as a father. And there was a part of me that said, you were never there. You were never there as a father. And I can remember seeing a therapist once in Spokane years ago, and I talked about that issue. And what she said was, maybe he's remembering it the way it should have been. And I thought, wow. I love that. That has stuck with me over, I guess, the last 40 years. I think it was about 40 years ago when she said that. Yeah. I think there's some things that happened, some choices that others made that didn't seem to be in our best interest. And we can learn powerful things from that, can't we? We can learn some incredible lessons from that. And more than anything, I think what happens is when we remember the tough experience, especially when it comes from the family of origin or the family that we've created, it becomes this amazing opportunity for forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness for what other people may have done, and forgiveness for what we may have done. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean that we forget what happened. It just says we forgive it. Because life events just happen. Life experiences get brought to our doorstep. And we have to decide how we're going to act, how we're going to react, what we're going to do with it. And that's why forgiveness makes so much sense. Forgiving others and forgiving ourselves. I think what happens when we forgive others, it's a little bit like Jesus on the cross, right? Saying, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. I mean, isn't that true? I mean, if you came from a belligerent situation, if you came from a situation filled with poverty, if you came from a situation where the mother or the father made poor choice after poor choice, we forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And when we ask that question, it's, if not now, when? You're going to spend the whole rest of your life being irritated and mired down in what was a bad experience? When we forgive ourselves and when we forgive others, man, it just has a way, a magical way of just breaking that logjam, of freeing up our souls, freeing up our hearts in ways that we never imagined possible. That's what forgiveness does. And of course, for most of us, is it a challenge to forgive others? Sure. Well, when something really serious happened. But it's really a challenge to forgive ourselves, isn't it? I mean, man, that's a tough one. Especially when we say, I knew exactly what I was doing, and I made the poor choice anyway. Often for some kind of instant gratification instead of living a life more filled with integrity, instead of living a life more filled with blessings and love. And we've all been there. We wouldn't be here right now, this moment, if we were perfect, at least on the surface. So we've all made some poor choices. We've all done some things we're not especially proud of. But maybe now it's time to love on purpose, to love ourselves on purpose, and to love other people on purpose. What we get to do is we get to return to the heart of God. A heart of God where somehow we are loved without conditions. It's kind of like, yeah, well, God doesn't know what I did. Hey, it's God. God knows. We return to the heart of God, and we just bathe ourselves in love without conditions. Holy cow. I mean, how can that be? How could I possibly be loved without conditions? With some of the things that I've done, and it's kind of like a perfect parent. He's always going to love the kid, even when the kid's made some poor choices. I may not love the acts, I may not love the behaviors, but that doesn't change my love for the person. Not one iota. And if you're a parent, I'll bet there's sometimes when your kid's done something wrong, and you have to discipline them right. You have to do the right thing. And there's a part of you that goes, I love Yeah. Not only do we return to the heart of God, we return to the grace of God. What's that mean, to return to the grace of God when we come back home again? And I think what it means is that we finally understand there's nothing we can do to earn the grace of God. Nothing. Not a thing. That grace from God is given freely, which is a combination of forgiveness and love and a great understanding of how this plays out in the bigger scheme of things. The grace of God just enfolds us. And again, we can never earn it. There's nothing special we can do. I love it, of course, when you do something nice in the love offering, but it has nothing to do with the grace of God. You can't earn it. All you can do is accept it. All you can do is just let it go. Let it loose. To understand that the grace of God and the love of God just permeate us. It's always there. And it's always been there. Our only job, our only responsibility is just to open our eyes, open our hearts, and to say, wow, I can hardly believe that. I think the greatest spiritual leaders throughout the centuries had a couple things in common. I think one thing that they had in common was that they just wanted you to be able to see the simplicity of it all. That you are loved and that you are loved. That the Spirit of God somehow touches you in ways you can hardly describe. I don't care if it was Jesus or the Buddha or Lao Tzu, if it was Muhammad or if it was Mahatma Gandhi or if it was Mother Teresa. They were all saying the same thing. Just to see with new eyes. To see with fresh eyes. Matter of fact, let me get a little quote here for you. When you come back home again, I decided I wanted to give you the new and improved version, the up-to-date version of John 3:3 in the Bible. Now, just to give you a refresher, in John 3:3, there's this Pharisee named Nicodemus. And he's talking to Jesus, and he's saying, what do you mean you have to be born again? What the heck does that mean? Okay, so I'm going to give you the new up-to-date version. So Jesus says to Nicodemus, he says, hey, Nick. He says, I got to tell you, nobody can see or feel or sense the Spirit of God within themselves unless they are born again. And to be born again, that means you got to see the old with new eyes. You got to look at what's been familiar with a new perspective, Nick. You got to come back home again to those wonderful experiences that you've had in your life, and you got to look at those tough situations that you've had in your life, the ones that broke your heart, and just look at it all in brand new ways. Absolutely. To come back home again to the love of God, to come back home again to the Spirit of God, what that means is, let's look at our lives as we've lived it, as we've experienced it, with fresh eyes, with brand new eyes. Let's see the lessons we were supposed to learn. Let's see the way we acted and the way we reacted. Let's understand that sometimes we were victims and sometimes we were maybe the persecutors. But we look at it all with brand new eyes, and we learn these lessons that take us further, that take us deeper. And all we really need to do is to come back home again to the Spirit of God and see with brand new eyes. And if you've been on your spiritual journey for a while, I just want to leave you with one thing. And that is, if you think you've learned a lot, if you see with brand new eyes, you ain't seen nothing yet. And so it is.
Speaking of spiritual journeys, a great segue. I began my inward journey for 35 years ago when I discovered New Thought, and I realized fairly early on it's a lot of work. And there were times when I thought, you know, it's a lot easier when I just sit around and watch reruns on TV and turn to substances to soothe myself and that sort of thing. But man, it's a beautiful thing, and so this is a story sort of about my journey, and thankfully I didn't give up.
was amazing. I'm so sorry I called you Mark Nelson. I didn't realize you were, I know, I heard Nelson when Dennis said it, but I didn't realize you were the one, Mark A. Wilson, writing this amazing music. Thank you. Okay, so now it is time. I know what time it is. Let me find the script here. It's at the top. I could wing it. I hear it a lot. I hear it every week. Okay. I'm going to wing it. It should be here, though. Okay. It's time for our love offerings. So, oh, here it is. Cool, good. So if you can share some of your financial blessings with the church, it would be much appreciated, of course. If it is your first time here, which you may be online, don't feel like you need to give. Just be our guests. But if you are watching online and you've been here before and you'd like to contribute, you can click on the Give button on the website streaming window, and your offering will be very secure. We do have the opportunity to hear Scott Hickson read our prosperity blessing for today. So, Scott, come on up.
Morning. A frog walks into a pawn shop with a very valuable and personal valuable, porcelain figurine because he needed some money badly. And the young tadpole behind the counter didn't recognize it as anything of value. And the frog was trying to explain what kind of value it had. So the tadpole goes back to the turtle that's running the shop, and he explains to the turtle what the frog wants. And the turtle is just shaking his head at this young kid, and he says, "Look, it's a knick-knack, pollywog. Give the frog a loan." So, we've reached that time at our service when we ask that you share with the church part of your financial blessings. So, whether you're here in person or watching online, thank you for sharing. It helps keep the church running. And as you share, it's a simple act that can remind us that it's time to come back home again to God. It's time to remember our roots found in our hearts and in our souls. They are the roots that are often you don't see, but that keep us steadily anchored. Why? Because who you are is always, always, always found in our relationship with God. And so it is. Namaste.
Please join us in singing 100 Ways. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. At least 100 ways for me to receive. I embrace my good, and I do believe there are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. There are at least 100 ways my good is coming to me. My good is coming to me. My good is coming to me.
our chaplains are doing double duty, right? We appreciate that. Well, sorry. Yeah. Would you join me in a prayer of thanksgiving? The Spirit of God, we do say thank you. The financial gifts are important, of course, but we do understand that what's far more important is that we just see the world with new eyes, to see our lives, to see our past experiences and our current experiences with fresh new eyes that just take us to the very edge of our spirituality and one step more. And so we say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. And let's bring our kids in.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. My sisters and my brothers, we're gonna let it shine. My sisters and my brothers, we're gonna let it shine. My sisters and my brothers, we're gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Woo. Amber, what did the kids learn about today?
So today we talked about the virtue of peace, and we did the St. Francis prayer for peace. We did some yoga and some meditation. And then we also made a list of the places, people, or situations that we find peace at. And Maisie is going to read our affirmation for today, so if you could repeat after her.
I am peaceful.
And peaceful.
I use peaceful language and find peaceful solutions to problems.
I use peaceful language and find peaceful solutions to problems.
I find my inner peace and let it carry me gently through the day.
I find my inner peace and let it carry me spiritually throughout the day.
The peace of God is always with me.
Good job. And peace be with you all.
Thanks. So, kids, if you'd like to go back to your parents or your grandparents, your guardians, that'd be wonderful. And I think I say this 2 or 3 times a year, and Amber, you might want to hear this too, and that is there's been lots of studies, questionnaires, surveys done over the years as kids that come through the youth programs get older, get into their early 20s, and they're asked what was the best thing about going through the Unity Children programs, and the number one answer is, I went up and every Sunday I'd stand up in front of, 50 old fogies and yeah, and it was okay. And I learned how to do public speaking. I mean, isn't that really something? So let's give Amber a hand. Let me invite you to stand if you're able. We'll sing our closing song.
Peace This be my song now, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now, would you join me in our closing prayer? Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank you for being here today, and time to go out and brave the cold.